4 বছর ধরে চলা এ পথ আমার আছে পাওয়ার আর কিছু হারাবার সহ্য করতে পারিনি অবিচার তাই পেয়েছি সবকিছু পেয়ে তারা মশলা মেশানো তর্ক বিতর্ক বিনোজন মানুষের দুঃখে গল্প এডওয়ার্ড দেশের নির্বাক চিত্র প্রসারিত হোক অভিমান
So guys, we are back after the break and we are back with Nabarun in the house. We were kind of discussing his journey till now, a bit of spirituality, the books that he likes and the kind of stuff that he produces, what he produces on. So now we'll talk about some of the things that I think is more mainstream regarding Nabarun. So yeah, Naba, if you could kind of share your journey in terms of a producer and kind of producing under Anupam and other stuff that you do, and finally coming into your own ground as a music director that you're kind of doing. So let's hear about that journey.
Yeah, see, as I was telling you earlier, that around 2011, Anupam told me that if I start producing and arranging music for him, then we would have a very solid cohesive unit where we would do the live gigs and also do the studio work together. And so I started producing music. I made a little setup at my home and started arranging and producing music for him. So eventually I started working with other music directors and artists as well. Eventually, initially, I did a lot of work for Anupam Das films, which were doing really well here. They were big hits films like Chotushkon and Highway. And then around 2015, we did our first Bollywood work together, which was Piku, a film which has been loved by a lot of people and also won us a lot of accolades and awards for that. So the music of Piku was entirely created in Kolkata, and everything from the very scratch to programming the music to recording them live. All the musicians are from Kolkata. The music has been recorded in Kolkata, produced from Kolkata. So and after Piku was appreciated, we were really happy because this was a big thing for us, that a film starring Amitabh Bachchan and Deepika Padukone and directed by someone as amazing as Sujit Sarkar. So being a part of that, a major film like that was really big for us. And Anupam Da also won the Filmfare Award for this film. So after Piku, we did a lot of we did quite a few Bollywood work together. I also arranged his song Tujhse Hi Hai Roshni in Pink, and also for a film called Dear Maya and RunningShadi.com. Quite a few Bollywood films I did with Anupam Da as an arranger and a music producer. So eventually I was also getting some work for scoring background music. The first couple of works actually came to me through Anupam Da. One of the first films that I did the background score for was Aholla, the short film Aholla, directed by Sujoy Ghosh, which was again very appreciated and critically acclaimed. Then I did background score for a Bengali film called Jomer Raja Dilo Bor, and eventually around the end of 2015, Shoukorjo Ghoshal, who is a very well-known director as well as an illustrator, he called me up regarding a television film that he was making, and he asked me to work as a music director for that film. So that was my first film as a music director, and after that a lot of films and web series actually followed, where I have done the music direction as well as the film score.
Okay, so one more question I have on this one is that since you've worked as a music producer under a couple of directors, and now that when you are doing your own gig, what is basically the difference, what you feel as a music director right now?
Yes, see, when I am producing or arranging for an artist, so it's very important to understand that where that artist is coming from in terms of perspective and in terms of musicality. It's very important to know the kind of music that he likes to listen to and the kind of vision that he has inside his head regarding the song or the songs that we are producing. Suppose an artist like Onupamda, who is a prolific songwriter, whose writing and composition, it's very singer-songwriter. You get a very singer-songwriter kind of a vibe from Onupamda. That he is. What I really like about his music, that when he is singing the words that he has himself written and composed, there is a sense of conviction in the way that he sings. So it's very important to understand the kind of vision that the artist has. And as a music producer or as an arranger, it's important to know that, because our job is to enhance that vision, to make sure that that vision reaches more people just the way that artist wants, or if we can, to make it even better than what the vision was. Right. So as a producer, it's very important to understand the artist that you're working with. And when I am working as a music director myself or as a composer myself, I am bringing into the table all the varied influences that I myself have and have gained through the ages. Since we have been talking for quite some time regarding, the past influences, all those influences from, the classical music background to the heavy metal background to new metal to jazz, all of these influences come into play. And at the same time, since I have had the experience of working with, senior artists and producing for them, I also have gathered a certain amount of experience while working with them. So, especially in terms of studio work, that working with Onupamda for so many years, I have actually learned things that will work in the studio and things that might not work in the studio. See, when we are imagining a piece of music, it all sounds so perfect inside our head, but the real challenge is to get it out of the head and into your DAW and then into the record. So that is the main challenge. So when I am working with the artists, what becomes very important is that the vision of that artist and where that artist comes from a musical perspective. And when I am creating, what becomes my bag of tricks is the experience and all the influences that I've gathered over the years.
Okay. Nabarun, I'll ask you something not regarding your music, but something more about you as a person, because here we are trying to kind of understand the individual behind the music or whatever kind of field they are in. So tell me, are you a disciplined person?
I would say that I have a certain discipline of my own. But I am not very indisciplined also. I might not be very disciplined, but I am also not very indisciplined. So I am somewhere in between. I used to be very indisciplined, around 7 or 8 years back, I think. But gradually, work, experiences and, life also, explains certain things to you and eventually changes happen. So right now, I won't say that I am very disciplined, but at the same time, I am also not very indisciplined. Somewhere trying to, find a balance.
Okay, yeah. The reason why I ask is because do you have any kind of morning routines or evening routines that you follow? Just kind of try to understand.
Yes, I do actually. Since 2017, I have been practicing yoga and meditation. So that is the first thing that I do every morning. Whenever I wake up, the first thing that I do, those 40 minutes are just mine. In that time, I do yoga and meditation and a few freehand exercises, and this has been going on since 2017, and it has become, over the last 4-5 years, this has become a major part of my life. If I don't do it in the morning, I feel like something is missing throughout the day. So yeah, that's one discipline that I have gained over the last 5 years.
Wow. That's actually really good to hear. I myself, follow a bit of Zen. I follow Zen, so wanted to understand what meditation. Do you have any kind of specific? Do you do Vipassana?
When I started off, I learned from someone who is like an elder brother to me. I learned the Surya Namaskar and a few pranayams, and I was practicing that, followed by meditation. Over the last 2 years, I have been practicing Sudarshan Kriya, designed by Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar ji. And I have learned it from Art of Living teachers, and I have been practicing that regularly for the last 2 years.
Oh wow, that's super. See, I did not know, and I'm very sure very few people who know him as a musician will know this. So that is, that meditation actually kind of helps to, I'm sure, clear the mind of whatever is going on, and basically concentrate on things that matter.
Yes, actually, see, for you as well as for me, since we do a lot of production work and we have to deal with a lot of people, who have different perspectives from what we have generally, from the way we musicians think. We also have have to deal with and interact with clients who are not musicians at all, but we have to understand what they are meaning to say. And so what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of noise and a lot of crowd around us all day. So it's very important to find some time in the day where you can actually ground yourself. That's like a charging point, I would say. That's like a charging point for my battery. You get charged for 30-40 minutes and then you do your thing.
Super. You should try Vipassana. I'm sure if you are into meditation.
Yes. I have been, recommended Vipassana by 2 very close people. So I am interested and I might try it.
It's a bit different, as in, you have to kind of go for 10 days. I myself have done it 10 days in a retreat. No phones, no nothing, and all the things come up. But then at the end, it just really helps.
Yeah.
I don't think it's for everyone, but if you are kind of practicing meditation for some time, it will kind of open a different perspective, I feel. So try karke dekho ek bar, I'm sure, and let me know what you think. Okay, so that's one of the questions I had. Also I wanted to ask you, let's talk about, we kind of talked about how Nabarun is successful, he's kind of done his gig and everything. Let's talk about any failure or any apparent kind of failure that has set you up for a later success. So you have kind of, maybe you have gone ahead, because see, success we all talk about, we know that, and most probably our social feeds are filled with stories of our successes and other people's successes, and that is the, I wouldn't say bad side of kind of media, but that kinds of dilutes the bigger picture.
Right.
So जो stories post नहीं होता है नबरन का Facebook में, या we are not aware, if one instance, if you can share, which a failure which meant something to you, which later maybe helped you in a much bigger perspective, if there is. For people like you and me who are primarily music producers, and we do independent work as well as we work for other clients for ads and films. Right.
So since music is a very subjective thing, so when you're dealing with commercial clients, a lot of times this happens that your work doesn't get approved. So it happens. So initially, whenever I would get some work, I would get really attached to that work, and which I have always believed to be some of my a primary strength of mine, that I get really attached to the work that I do. Even if I'm scoring for a film, I get inside the movie, and those characters start living with me for quite some time. So initially there were times when this still happens actually. I'll be lying if I say that this doesn't happen. I tried to push whatever I feel is good into the table, into the hands of the clients. So many times it would happen that the clients would not like it. They would say that we are not asking for something like this, we want something else. So initially I would try to explain that it doesn't work, and then something would something would happen and the work would not come to me. So this is during I think this happened around 3 to 4 years back, that I really got attached to a work and I really tried to push my own thing, my own soundscape into it, which got rejected, and eventually I did not get the job. So this was one major lesson for me, because I learned two things from this. Firstly, that it's important to understand that not everyone thinks like you. It's very important to understand that, and it's at the same time it's very important to respect the way that other person is thinking, that person's perspective. Because I am coming from a background where there has been a lot of music. I have been exposed to a lot of music, and this is what I do. So I spend all my time listening to different kinds of music. But the person that I am working for right now is not someone like that. He does very hardcore corporate work throughout the day, and the only music that he listens to is music that entertains him. So you have to understand that what music is to him. It's a source of entertainment. It's something that he wants to hum and nothing else. And if I am trying to push too much of theory and too much of things that I believe to be important, like suppose if I try to push in a lot of classical theory into that, it won't affect him, because that is not what he is looking for. So when doing commercial work, it's very important to understand what your client wants, and it is important for you to work for that only. That is something I gathered the lesson from that. And I'll give you a very easy example. Suppose someone really loves to eat khichdi. He loves khichdi and he wants to eat khichdi, but I am good with making pizza, and I am telling him that don't have khichdi, have pizza, this is better. But he doesn't want pizza, he wants khichdi, and I am trying to push pizza into him. So it's like that. Both are good, both are fine, but it depends on what one person is working. So this is something in the commercial world it's necessary to understand. What you can maybe do is you can try to put some oregano or some pepperoni into the khichdi, so to make it your own flavor, see if that works. I don't know whether it will, but it's important to understand and prioritize at that point what the client is wanting in terms of commercial work. And also another thing I learned is that until the work is getting approved, don't get too attached to that. That is something I learned, that because if you get too attached to that, then you start believing in the fact that this is the only good thing that can happen to this work. This music is the only music that can work. So it closes off, other windows, that other possibilities that might happen. So once it gets approved, then you can actually get very attached and enhance whatever has got approved. So this is one lesson that I learned from a failure. Actually, mistakes and rejections keep on happening if you are in this industry, and if you are working for other people. But it's important to learn those lessons and apply it later.
Right. And I'll just this reminds me of one thing, that when we get very attached to our work, we try to start telling ourselves stories about that work, and how big this is, how it's going to be the next big thing. Right. And and then we start to fool ourselves also. There's this head, the kind of voice in the head, which kind of tells us things which is actually, if we want to grow, is actually not good. Because after this is just my 2 cents, after kind of finishing something, if we don't get detached to it, we will be reacting insanely strongly to any feedback, be it it's constructive or whatever. And there's always something, obviously there are people who will kind of not like anything that you do, even if it's a masterpiece. But your genuine advisors, the people who are kind of genuinely feel good about your work, if they criticize any of the work, that means that has that kind of that seed is there for us to learn. And if we have that story going in my head, I'm the boss, I'm like the next Zimmer, or maybe Junkie XL, you're gone, you're most probably never going to kind of do it. But and also one thing I think that as a music producer, for you to specifically, since you do it full time, you will come across, and I'm sure you have come across different different genres, right?
Right.
Different type of music. So it, as a music director, it's very easy in a sense. I'm not saying the kind of levels are different. It's very easy to kind of hum a tune and kind of give it, but the different kind of what should I say, requirements. Okay, tumko maybe in the morning you have to kind of do a complete masala commercial thing, and at evening you'll have to kind of do a John Mayer-ish thing.
Oh yeah, that's
More
something.
transformation will kind of but that teaches you a lot, right? So
and absolutely what you're saying, I like, that is somewhere meditation helps again, because when you're doing a lot of when you're working with a lot of different kinds of sound, like you said, probably I am making this folk tune for a Bengali TV serial in the morning, and in the evening I am producing for a film that will go to international festivals. So and maybe in between I have rehearsals for my professor. so it's very important to compartmentalize the different kind of work that you're doing and the different kind of sounds that you're into. I don't mind if influences from one genre is applied to another genre. Sometimes that creates something very magical. I mean, it can even but at that point you have to have that level of conviction with the different genres, in order to apply them and fuse them and create something new together. So yeah, it's very important to compartmentalize and know when to get attached to what. Otherwise, when I'm rehearsing with the professor, and if I am still thinking about that TV soap tune that I have to create after that, then both of the works will get affected.
Right. Also, Nova, tell me something. Do you have any unusual habit that you have which we are not aware of? Anything?
I don't know about whether it's very unusual or not, but this is something that has been that I have had for a long time. Before going to sleep, I either need to read something, or need to listen to something, or need to watch something. That's been there for a long time. So yeah, after all the work and all the madness that goes throughout the day, I would want to, before I sleep, I would want to, spend some time on my own and listen to something or watch something. And it doesn't really have to be something very trendy or anything. It just has to be something that interests me. It can be something very bizarre or something weird, but I need to spend that time with myself before going to bed.
Okay, pretty interesting. So like that makes, are you into audiobooks also, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, there was a phase in the middle when I used to listen to a lot of audiobooks. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Sometimes I go on to different YouTube channels and watch a lot of videos. Some of them are music oriented, some of them production oriented, and sometimes I read. So something I need to do before falling asleep.
Okay, I'll give you one more question. That is, now this is again very hypothetical. Say it's not kind of promoting yourself or maybe the band that you are in, or nothing promoting any kind of venture you're doing. If you have been kind of given a budget to have billboards all over the city, and some philanthropist or guy comes in and kind of says, Nova, write something on this billboard, what would you kind of put in there, and why would you put that there?
It's difficult to say. The line that comes to my mind right now is the line, welcome to wherever you are. This is again a song by Bon Jovi. In fact, I quoted another line from this song earlier today. Every new beginning is wow, this song is more dear to me than I thought. So welcome to wherever you are. I'll probably write that, because I think it's very important to accept the point that we are in life. Maybe it can be a difficult time, or maybe it's the best time that I've ever had, but it's important to accept that time as it is in order to grow and in order to take the next step. That's why welcome to wherever you are, no matter what has happened so far, no matter what will happen later on, we don't know, but let's appreciate the moment that we are in right now, because like Woody Allen said in one of his films, that our life ultimately is a sum total of all the choices that we have made.
Right.
So if you appreciate the moment that you're in right now, it's because of the choices, and if you don't, it's because of the choices. But even if you don't, you can learn from those choices, and even if you have, you learn even more. So welcome to wherever you are. Accept it where you are in life, accept it and move forward.
That's super Zen. I think it's because the now is all we have.
Yeah,
the now is all we have. So that's pretty interesting kind of input. Good to hear that. So where are you kind of when we are talking about so this is a question I generally keep for the end question, but I think it will kind of make sense right now. So since the show that we are on, it's called Future Sound of Bengal, though we have just kind of started, so I want you to kind of tell us, what does this phrase might mean to you? What is the future sound of Bengal to you? It might not be a comment on the show itself because we had just started out. But when you hear this thing, what do you think is the future sound of Bengal? And wanted to kind of understand that.
See, Bengal and the life that we have had growing up here, it's quite unique in different ways. Like in the very beginning of our conversation, we both talked about the fact that we have been spoiled by our grandparents.
Right.
And both of us, I did not know that even your first keyboard was gifted to you by your grandma.
Right.
Same with me. So there are certain things in Bengal that create the ethos of Bengal. One of them is this very attachment to our grandparents and attachment to your family. These things are there in the Bengali culture, and there are a lot of in terms of soundscape, there are a lot of sounds which are very unique to Bengal, like the folk sound, the baul sound, sound of khomok, dotara. And along with that, we also have a city, the city Kolkata, which I find very rhythmic and melodic at the same time. It's a city which which has places which look very global, and at the same time we also have slums and slum areas which are very Bengal and very India. And at the same time, in both places, we see people living life with full gusto. And what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of diversity in Bengal. That and as I said, those things which make a Bengali. There are many things like that. Like we all like listening to stories. There are certain kinds of food that we love listening to. So what I'm trying to say is that right now in a year like 2022, when music and cinema and art has become very global right now, I mean, I can produce something sitting here in Kolkata, in Goria, which can be released in a place like New York, and it can has the same level of production, because DAWs and technology, this has all become very global nowadays, and it's more accessible, and different kinds of people have their own modes of working. But what I'm trying to say is that in spite of the global soundscape, it is very important to have a global approach to your work, to keep it contemporary, and to keep it from sounding dated. But at the same time, we should not forget the very ethos of being a Bengali, the attachments that we have had. When I'm writing a song, when I am I'm creating a piece of music, there should be something in it which should be the signature, which should tell us that this is from Bengal. So my idea is to use all the gadgets and all the technology that you have that we have been exposed to till now globally, to use all of that create a kind of sound which would be very exclusively Bengali or exclusive from Bengal. Like, even if you use one organic instrument which is from Bengal, or even if you use certain phrases which are dear to Bengal, it can be magical, because every place has their own unique nature, and I think it's very important to retain that unique nature and yet create something global, so that what is unique can reach a larger audience.
Yes, it makes so much sense actually, because so many things are there, and if we just kind of travel even because right now we are obviously tucked in the city, but if we kind of travel in the rural areas,
right,
you'll get so many gems, just unlimited.
Yeah.
And I think that this has been explored, but just like a treasure trove,
right,
I think it still needs a lot more exploration, and which with the use of technology we can like being technically sound, we can actually ensure both things meld down together, and we can create a good alchemy of both.
Right. One thing I'd like to add is that when we are doing commercial work, especially when you're working for clients who are outside Bengal, say clients from different other parts of India or even abroad, we are often given references, reference tracks that we want the music to sound like this, which is okay, as long as you can retain something, you can retain your unique nature, I would say. What I'm trying to say is that we are asked many times to sound like a certain Punjabi track, or we are asked to sound like a certain Bollywood track, or sound like a certain South Indian track. So if everyone is trying to sound like someone else in order to get approved, then we will lose out on a lot of unique things which are there from the place that person is producing. So in order to keep creating fresh things, we have to accept the things that are new, that are unique, and in order to do that, we have to respect the different point of views, the different perspectives that the different people have from where they come from. We all have different perspectives. I mean, we were both talking about rock music. Even in rock music, I might like one kind of rock music, you might like a different kind of rock music. So everyone has their own stories, their own perspectives, and it's important to respect that and accept that. So if you can do that, I think we'll be able to create unique things more often.
Super. Where do you think the independent music scene is kind of going in Calcutta? Specifically Calcutta. I'm not kind of getting into Bangladesh, but
see, right now, one major setback that the independent scene has is that there's not much support from the mainstream media, really. When we were growing up, we used to switch on the radio and listen to a lot of band songs, and as we were discussing, at that point of time, musicians would be successful in making a living and running a family only by doing independent music, only by selling their own records and doing live gigs. But right now, things have changed, and film music has become the more dominant scenario here. Mainstream media promotes more film music than independent music. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So at the same time, we also have the internet, but the internet, although it has a huge reach, but still in a place like India, and especially in Bengal, mainstream media still has a lot of hold, because even if you move a little out of the cities into the rural areas, television is all they have. Even now they have television, and now they have the internet where they are checking out viral things, basically. So it is it took much content. I just lost track of what I was saying.
Independent music scene.
I just lost. So it's very challenging for musicians, the biggest difficulty that an independent musicians are facing nowadays, even me, see, when I am working for a film and when I am working with another artist, it's different, the way things are being promoted and the way I am being promoted or my music is being promoted, it's different. But the moment I am making a song of my own and trying to promote it myself, it's another different story altogether.
Right.
So and one of the biggest challenges that and the independent musician nowadays has to face is that the person has to be adept in almost all the departments, not only in making the music, but he also has to think about a music video which has to be released along with the music. They also has to think about the promotions, they have to think about who to connect to get it released where. So a musician is not only a musician right now, that he's pretty much an industry himself right now. Right. So which is a very challenging thing, I would say, because everyone has their own strengths, right? I mean, I know of many people, who are brilliant songwriters and brilliant performers, but they are shy. They cannot go out and say that my music is the best, this is what I have, and promote the hell out of everything that person is capable. They can't do that because they are shy and introverted, and at the same time they're creating something amazing. So it is a big challenge right now, to get heard the way you want to be heard, because we hear stories about the past that where there were executives and people who would handpick talents and promote them, but right now everyone is doing everything on their own, and so many materials are getting out nowadays that it's good in a way that different kinds of musicians, different artists are getting exposure, but at the same time it's very challenging to be completely independent and to reach out a lot more people than you think you can. So it's a big challenge right now for independent musicians, but I would say thanks to the internet, the scenes are changing. We are actually having a lot of independent shows in Kolkata eventually, and so I hope that in the future mainstream media will again support independent music the way they used to, so that it can reach a lot more people.
Right. Now, it's just like a double-edged sword, right? So I think that, while the executives and what should I say, the people who actually controlled the whole thing, we still have, gatekeepers, so obviously sab jagah pe hai in different levels. But the basis of the gatekeeping, that is kind of given away. And if you see independent... not only music, I think of
it's everywhere in any creative sphere.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even writing books also, if you'll see. So obviously the internet has obviously given us what it's there, but then you have to be, I won't say multi-talented, but multitasking should be there, skill should be there, or else get a hold of a good manager. Now that if you have the moolah for doing that, I'm sure we won't be talking about, independent musicians won't be talking about that. Right. So it's more of, how overall, as you said, industry, I'll say more of like creating yourself as a brand.
Brand.
हाँ, तो सबका branding है. अगर मुझको किसी को चाहिए, if I do a Google, everyone is like a chalta fitta brand. That sounds so crazy and that's so 1984, but I'm just saying, it just but yeah, that's how it is. So I think the people who are actually wanting to do serious stuff will know that these are the ways that things can be done, and if you have to kind of what should I say, वो David and Goliath वाला thing करना है, अच्छा David बनना पड़ेगा, वो तो most probably है. So anyways, I think but independent music scene was always there and is always going to be there. That's the fair, but it's a very interesting thing that now that we are so much equipped, what comes up in the next 5 to 10 years, who are going to be the big players, who are going to do mind-boggling stuff, because that is actually something I am myself looking forward to kind of see. That is, I'm sure many of us are kind of looking forward for that. So so that's about the independent music scene. So Noba, what we'll do is that we are almost at the end of our second part, and again, this is the second episode. And in the first episode with my previous guest, we hit 1 hour 40 minutes. We've already closed 1 hour 20 minutes with you.
Okay.
So I think when I thought of this format, I thought of 30 minutes, but I think so much to kind of so much to know, so much to discuss and share is there. So I will want something which is very specific to you, because I think when I had kind of listened to you the first time, like you're a keyboardist first, producer तो छोड़ो, you're a keyboardist first. So गाना हम लोग end में सुनेंगे एक छोटा कुछ keyboard piece. It might be a classical thing, it might be something you have made. So just for our kind of audience to, I'm sure they know it, but that part of Nabarun I think should be a huge part of this. That keyboard player who has later kind of grown into a producer, now you're a music director. So we want to kind of hear it, and we will kind of end with a song of your choice.
Okay, sure.
So
okay, I'll play something impromptu actually. I mean,
okay.
This is like...
Okay, sure. Please go ahead. Super. So was that something like you said impromptu?
It was impromptu. I did not plan this. But this is
great. Yeah. So just one thing. Have you kind of heard Yanudi Ludavik?
Yes, of course.
Do you have anything? Abhi hai kya? Or else
I don't know it by heart. I have heard.
Kuch
I haven't
hoga
picked up anything.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, I'll just play one of the first licks that I learned ever.
Sure. भाई ये तो riders on the
riders.
Okay.
Good old days.
Oh man. Okay, that would be a different. I do have kind of some rappers also be coming in. So I'm thinking, when I'm thinking Riders on the Storm, I'm thinking of the Snoop Dogg version of it. That is something that basically came. So super. So Nabarun, now that we have kind of heard you playing something, now kind of let's end the show with you kind of displaying your songwriting or singing talents, and let's kind of end the second episode with that.
A very new song. This is a song that I have composed and sung, and it has been written by my dear friend Pranjalda. So this song is called Biplab, but it speaks of something else actually. Let's see. যদি না বুঝেছো চাঁদ ব্যথা বুঝবে না তবে আগে ভালোবাসা বোঝো পরে বিপ্লব হবে যদি না খুঁজেছো মন দেহ বুঝবে না তবে আগে ভালোবাসা বোঝো, পরে বিপ্লব হবে। তোমার শরীরে, তোমার শরীরে সড়কের সাদা দাগে মিশে গেছে দাগ, ধুয়ে গেছে অনুরাগে। তোমার শরীরে সড়কের সাদা দাগে মিশে গেছে দাগ, ধুয়ে গেছে অনুরাগে। আর ধান খেতে আসে, ধান খেতে যত পাখি, তাদের ডানাতে আমরাই যেন থাকি। যদি না বুঝেছো, যদি না বুঝেছো প্রেম, ব্যথা বুঝবে না তবে। আগে ভালোবাসা বোঝো, পরে বিপ্লব হবে। যদি না খুঁজেছো মন, দেহ বুঝবে না তবে। আগে ভালোবাসা বোঝো, পরে বিপ্লব হবে। আগে ভালোবাসা বোঝো, পরে বিপ্লব হবে।
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, once again, so thank you, Nabarun, for kind of taking the time.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely chatting with you, man. It's been ages, and you know, this is something that I would like to mention before we sign off. That, you know, right now this just came to my mind while singing this song, that you, me, our generation, we are a generation that has been through the major transition. Like, we have written telegrams when we were children. Like, we used to post letters, and now we use WhatsApp. You know, we used to collect cassettes, and now we are completely into a non-physical format like streaming. So it's very interesting that but I am loving the fact that you have come up with this show called Future Sound of Bengal, you know, featuring people from our generation and some seniors who have inspired us, obviously, because these are the generations that have gone through the changes, and they have seen the changes, and are excited about the changes that are about to happen also. So it's very important to, you know, have this kind of platform where we can talk our heart out.
Absolutely. And I'll just say one thing. It just felt, you know, we have kind of met after so long, but it just felt we just kind of took off from where we had left.
Exactly. That was amazing. Thanks for having me, man. Loved the entire time being here.
You're most welcome. And so that brings us, you know, the end of episode number 2. This was the amazing Nabarun, and I'm sure this is not the end. We'll kind of बाद में भी होगा हम लोग का जो भी kind of plans and everything we have, but again, thank you for being on the show. So signing off till the next time we meet. Bye bye.